you know, it's fitting that the very last video I do in this dorm room is going to be punctuated with loud noises coming from out in the hallway. But we will endure. So, this video is not going to make me any friends within the little offshoot of the YouTube community known as the beauty community, and that's because this video is directed at calling them out. So let's commit channel suicide. Process begin. I don't think I'd be exaggerating if I said that we'd all heard of the James Charles situation at this point. It's permeated its way into all facets of the YouTube community. Everywhere. It's on Twitter, he's been trending for several days, he's on all of the YouTube drama channels, which I know a lot of people are subscribed to, and even the commentary channels have been talking about it ad nauseum. You know you've hit all of the tiers of the internet when even the blood sports community dedicates several hours of their time away from bashing each other to bashing you. We are about 3 days out from the Toddy Westbrook 43-minute video smackdown of James Charles at this point, and James has lost about 3 million, just shy of 3 million subscribers in that time period. It doesn't look to me like he'll recover from that debacle anytime soon. However, for the last 3 days that I've been aware of this going on, I've had this pervasive nagging at the back of my head that I've not seen really addressed by any of the masses. And the more that I learn about the situation, the more that I read about it, the more videos that I watch on it, the more that I dive into this, the more it doesn't sit very comfortably with me. And so that's what this video is, me addressing what it is that's just nagging at me. It's a possibility entirely on my part that I haven't seen as much about this issue with regards and respect to what it is that I want to address in my video because, you know, the smackdown took place in the middle of finals week, and so I haven't had all of the time to pursue all of the avenues of all of the drama that I would otherwise like to, which I'll own that. Okay, I will. I think it's important that I make a disclaimer that I don't frequent the beauty community. It's not really my thing. I am more of a socio-political commentary type media review person on the second channel at least, and comedy overall type channel, if you're into generalizations, I guess. That's what I do. So I'm coming in at this from an outsider's perspective. That's important to note off the bat. With the James Charles situation, a lot of people have latched on to the issue being that he betrayed a lot of members of the beauty community, namely Tati. A lot more people have latched on to this idea that James Charles is a predator and has been using his clout online to accentuate that behavior. Normally, I'm not the biggest fan of cancel culture, but this entire situation stinks to me. Not in that it happened, and that it happened as pervasively as it did, but rather that it didn't happen sooner, or that, I guess, James Charles was allowed to get as big as he was with the behaviorisms and mannerisms that he was presenting to the general public. He wasn't even hiding some of this predatory behavior. Honest to God, it's laid all out there, bare for everyone to see it. And no, I'm not talking about, you know, the allegations of him doing this when he was in high school. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about the videos online that he's put up of himself saying,
"For the pulse, I want a boy who is straight."
Love that for you. That's easy.
It's easier than you would think.
True.
Yeah.
Wow.
Have you ever hooked up with a guy before?
No.
You should try it sometime.
No, I can't.
Then
You told me that you have turned out straight guys. Elaborate on that, because you are a famous celebrity and you do live
Thanks, I got a speeding ticket one time because I left school early to go pick up a straight guy that went to another school that I knew was on the DL to hook up with him.
You have an issue with straight boys.
I do.
You need
It's
to
really
work it
bad.
out.
I'm working on it, girl.
You have to be able to find a masculine gay guy.
I mean, there are a million of them, but there's no challenge in that.
That's never gonna end in a relationship.
Well, not with that attitude, it won't. If you could give me one piece of advice you think that would help to find me a man, what would it be?
I don't think you should have a problem. I think you're confident. I think you're talented. I think
You're successful, you're young.
Yeah, you're attractive. You know how to dress yourself. If anything, you're just looking in the wrong places. Like, maybe stop looking at the straight guys.
James Charles in pursuit of straight men with like alligators chasing antelopes or whatever it is the animal is, and then you know the relationships that he's pursued with straight men, like the waiter that Tati mentions in her video.
Did it at my birthday dinner, and I made excuses for you then. You were talking in detail about things you wanted to do to the waiter, and when I said, James, he's straight, your response was, doesn't matter, I'm a celebrity.
Or the situation with Gage.
So he then unblocked me and continued to speculate that he didn't know or that he forgot that I told him I was straight in the beginning. Then invited me to Coachella, and I denied the first time he asked me. I denied both times he asked me. After I said no, he got mad again and blocked me on everything. I then got in contact with him again after a few weeks and told him I did want to go to Coachella. So I got there, we were all hanging out, we were having a good time. There was some points where I guess he was not sure how I was feeling, even though I was telling him the whole time I wasn't into, I guess you could say, experimenting at that time. He proceeded to get extremely upset with me because of that and kind of tried to play his emotions and push his emotions onto me to kind of guilt me into trying something. So after I denied any of that, he, I guess, went to Twitter again later on. So at the end of Coachella, all of his friends, I guess, came to a conclusion that I was using him.
It's not like it's been hiding all of this time. The issue that I want to address isn't just that James Charles is inherently predatory towards straight men. I mean, that's a separate thing. What I want to focus on here is, why didn't anyone bring it up? Why has it taken 3 years and more than 16 million subscribers until the point where Tati uploaded this 43-minute video for anyone to actually take this issue seriously? Because it was public, it was in your face. It boggles my mind. I mean, in Tati's video, it wasn't even the main crux of the issue that she had with James Charles. I don't even think that she would have addressed the issue of the actual situation if there hadn't been other drama going on. Take a look at Tati's 43-minute video. The overarching point of the entire video, at least from what I can tell, wasn't James's gross sexual behavior towards straight men. I mean, she may have talked about it for just shy of 4 minutes of a 43-minute runtime video, but it took her forever and a day to actually get to that point of talking about the issues that James Charles was presenting to his young audience of 16 million at the time. But it takes her, like I said, a long freaking time to get to that point, that part of her criticisms in the video. Let's just go through its SparkNotes version. So she starts off the video by going over the drama on Instagram that has to do with James sponsoring Sugar Bear hair care over her vitamin brand right out the gate.
A lot of you guys saw my Instagram story. There have been countless videos made about it.
And her vitamin hair care brand is Halo, which she mentions about 3 times before she actually gets into the sexual predatory allegations.
James Charles, he had 9 days after Coachella to talk to me. He knows where I live.
Then there's how she's salty that she didn't get an actual apology, that she's James's mentor. Then there's, she mentions Gabriel Zamora and how he called her out on YouTube.
Because Gabriel Zamora decided to drag me out on the dance floor by calling me out by name in a video that he made about opinions and makeup.
And then she goes into the reasons why she actually produced this 43-minute video in the first place.
I want to share with you guys really quickly why I'm being so public about this, because I know the first thing a lot of people will say is, hey, why didn't you pick up the phone? Why didn't you message him back? Like, you guys should have handled this privately. And I absolutely agree. I knew that I needed to talk to James, and I was planning on hopping in my car and, you know, sitting down with him. But I changed my mind very, very quickly when I found out that he had been giving his side to drama channels. He had been in contact with plenty of them. I immediately knew that this was all about damage control and had little to do with his care for me.
So she had to preempt it. That's the whole reason this video is out. She spells it out for you in the actual video itself. She spells it out for you right here. that this is why the video is getting made instead of her actually going to James Charles instead and talking it out with him in private like the adults that they are supposedly. And then she's talking about how she feels betrayed by James. And then for whatever reason, Shane Dawson's name gets dropped, which had absolutely nothing to do with anything at all. It was just there. And then she tells the story of how their relationship came to be, and then that she's been helping him out for all of this time to help him grow and all of this jazz, and how he's basically family, and you know, she's his surrogate mother, and how her husband had helped James so much to make all of this other money and, you know, become such a top tier beauty guru on the YouTube sphere. How she promoted and supported him, collabed with him, and endorsed all of his products, and emphasized that people should use code James and all of this jazz. She addresses the insinuation that Gabrielle made about James and Tati's relationship being transactional, which is an interesting bit because she goes in depth about that. And then of course there's the mini falling out that they had after the Jaclyn Hill launch party she mentions, talking about how she's so forgiving of others. She goes on about that for a while. Then she talks about how they didn't collab until it was beneficial to James. She goes on about how she talked him out of doing an Exposing the Beauty Community series, and how dare you feel entitled to do that to your own people. Yeah, there's some seriously weird undertones here that I'm getting from this video that actually probably could explain exactly why it took so long for someone to actually come forward and say this. And then she goes into talking about how James Charles was publicly shaving Melania from Makeup Geek, I don't know who this person is, and how he's disrespected a woman who, quote, paved the way. James and his behavior make him a bad role model, and this is where we actually get into what it is that she's referencing. It's kind of like the lead up to the shenanigans that is the main crux of this problem. She goes on to say at 23:51, everything is over-sexualized. That's the huge underlayer to all this that I've finally had enough. Because he's a role model, and because he is over-sexualized in a lot of his video, this is why she's calling him out. And she specifically says that, but the entire video and the lead up to it and the aftermath of what it is that she's mentioned here at 24:12, which is important because that's when she actually talks about the allegations about the sexual nature of James and how he fetishizes straight men. It takes her an entire 24 minutes to actually get to that talking point, and then she's on it until 27:37. Less than 4 minutes. Less than 4 minutes of her 43-minute video is dedicated to the big reason why she's making this video. And then she dives right back into the drama with Halo and Sugar Bear Hair Care vitamin businesses with James and her. The main point of this video wasn't to expose James for being predatory towards straight men. It was part of it, sure, but it was more of a jab than anything that meant anything substantial to Tati. This whole video and the lead up to that 4-minute portion of this video was over endorsement drama between the two of them. Not because she actually felt it was important to call out James about his gross behavior. At least that's the way that this reads to me, and you probably will disagree with me in the comment section. But that's exactly what it looks like to me. But this is a problem that is pervasive in the beauty community for whatever reason. That people were content with letting this just go. And like I said, there's evidence of this behavior being something that happened in real time as recently as last month after Coachella and all the drama that went down there between James Charles and a guy he invited, a model named Gage, who was questioning his sexuality, I guess. He was bi-curious. Gage and his experimentation with his sexuality. It blew up after James publicly shamed Gage for having the audacity to decide after Coachella that he was straight and not interested in James for anything more than friendship. So as a result of this, of, you know, Gage deciding that he wasn't bisexual and that he wasn't interested in James in any more capacity than just being friends, Gage was blasted by James on Twitter for being an opportunistic, gold-digging, follow hungry con artist person, because apparently that's what people in the beauty community see when it is that there's a situation that could be transactional in some way, And is it mutually beneficial for either party or both parties? Maybe it was. I don't know though. I'm not in the beauty community, so I don't know Gage and I don't know James, I don't know Toddy or any of these other people or any of their motives. But apparently in instances where relationships are transactional and something sketchy could be going down, it's worse than in a relationship where something sketchy is going down. And of course, now that the floodgates have opened up about this behavior and this, predatory nature that James Charles has towards straight men, people have come out with testimonials. There are videos out there I can show you. Some deleted, some still up.
I'm here today to talk about my past with James Charles. Started off, him and about 32 other people all came into the fancy restaurant that I was working in. And they were all there for Tati's birthday. And at that time, I really didn't know who James Charles was. I recognized his face, but I didn't know who he was. So Jeffree Star, James Charles, and all of Tati's family was there at my restaurant. And throughout the night, James and his friend and everyone, they just kept looking at me, but he started talking to the other employees about me, asking me if I had a Valentine. This was on Valentine's Day, and he kept asking the waiters if I was single and that they thought I was very attractive, or he especially thought that I was very attractive, and he wanted to get my phone number and all that.
Their degree of truth is varying. There's we don't know. We don't have any proof. What we do know, however, is that James Charles does have a past wherein he has actually endorsed the fact that he goes after straight men.
Our boy situation started around the same time.
Yes.
And that's what I feel like just
We've
cemented.
had similar situations. We also have very similar
Taste.
tasting guys too.
Hot.
Masculine.
Straight.
That's what we do know. We also know that he's made light of it, like it's not a big deal. And we also know that James Charles has a massive following, that he is not afraid to send at people who displease him in some way in that relationship transactional capacity. That's something we do know. And that's something that's a little bit scary, especially with an audience that is as young as his audience is. But it's not like there weren't signs. He's been active since December of 2015, and for whatever reason, the beauty community, 16 million sisters until 3 days ago, were just cool with it? Come on, please. And Jeffree Star is an interesting case too, because we can't talk about the beauty community without addressing Jeffree Star. He came out with this statement that I had to retrieve from the Wayback Machine because for whatever reason it's deleted. Quote, "There is a reason that Nathan banned James from ever coming to our home again. There's a reason why I haven't seen him since Glam Life Guru's birthday in February. He is a danger to society. Everything Tati said is 100% true." So if you knew this, Jeffree, in February, then why did it take you until now to actually come out about it? That on its own wouldn't be too damning enough. Obviously he deleted it, but what's more is that I found this also. The screenshot of this Twitter action between James Charles and Jeffree on the 21st of April of this year, people. This year. Yes, it's just a screenshot. But you know what? There was a tweet that said specifically this. I can't guarantee that it was aimed at James Charles because it's been deleted and it wasn't archived on the Wayback Machine, but it existed according to this Google search. You can look at it. So do with that what you will. I guess this brings me to what it is that I really want to emphasize is that this is coming after the Me Too movements, where we had a whole scandal with Harvey Weinstein about how he was abusing his power as a producer, a big-time producer in Hollywood, and how he was abusing that power in order to sleep with women, and that was bad. And now we have another important, well-known, powerful person. Yes, he's 19, but there's no denying the fact that there is a lot of power that having that kind of, social media influence has, that having that kind of money has, that having that kind of clout. He was at the Met Gala, for crying out loud. The Met Gala, which is where all of the super fancy important people in Hollywood hang out. So don't you tell me that he's just 19 years old. He doesn't know he knows exactly what he's doing. And he's had people point it out to him, apparently, in private. But if you guys want to talk about how girls are over-sexualized, then let's do that. But let's also do the flip. Let's talk about how men are also over-sexualized. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about how there's a double standard that exists that no one ever wants to mention because it's uncomfortable. That, we want to protect all of the women because they're so precious, they're so important, and they're being over-sexualized, and all of these men are predators to them. But then, what about when men are predators to other men? Or what about even when women are predators? Let's talk about that too. That's something that a lot of people just brush under the rug. A lot of court cases are brushed under the rug. Female teacher takes her 12-year-old middle school student and does things with him that are inappropriate for a teacher to do with a student, and then they don't lose their license and they don't get serious jail time for it. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the double standards. Let's have a conversation. It doesn't feel like we are right now, but we could be. I really want to know why the beauty audiences didn't call anyone out about this earlier, why it wasn't put on blast sooner. Is it because everyone's so young in this community? Is that why we can't talk about anything serious with these children? But was it that you guys were just ignoring all of this for convenience? Because it's a lot more lucrative for you, profitable for you to actually just sweep it all under the rug and be like, it's not a bother, not a big deal. It's beneficial to the community if no one ever gets in trouble, right?
I was like, it's gonna be like the downfall of your career. Don't do it. Like, don't expose the community because you're part of the community. Like, do you think you're better than everyone? Because you're not.
Apparently not. But it does seem more likely to me that that is the case, that you all just ignored this because it made sense financially to do so. Regardless of whatever it is that the answer is to why it is that the beauty community couldn't pull it together long enough to actually realize that this is a problem, I don't know nearly enough about the beauty community to actually have a comprehensive explanation for why this is the case. I'm just a casual observer, but I hope that I've opened up your eyes a little bit, that I could, in a sense, start that conversation on some level.